What's up, guys? It's Tyler Lawrence Gray, and you're listening to Monday Morning Critic Podcast.
Man, Tyler, are you a Massachusetts guy?
I am.
Where in Massachusetts?
I'm from a small town called Bridgewater,
I know
but
Bridgewater State, Bridgewater.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I went to Northeastern, and I live in Massachusetts. And
So did my dad.
really
That's
small
crazy.
world, small world.
Wow.
And it's crazy that nobody even asked you about that. Like I listened to some of your interviews, and like people did a great job. I'm not saying that, but like nobody kind of delved into your past because I think it's a big part of who you are today. I thought that was a no brainer.
I
How long were you
appreciate
in
that.
How long were you in Massachusetts for?
Wow, first 18 years of my life.
Yeah, and then you make the jump to LA, huh?
Yeah. I took a gap year from school once I graduated high school. Sort of was in Massachusetts. I actually moved to like Marshfield for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then like beginning of 2021, like literally January like 3rd, I made the move out to California.
Wow, tough leap of faith for you to make. Were you nervous? Were you scared? Did you have any doubts?
No, I was honestly really excited. It was something that I had wanted to do for a while, and it was sort of like this calling to me. Like I had been out to California multiple times before that, and my uncle was out here, and he's actually like my acting teacher, so
Wow.
he was so like supportive of me coming out here. So I was excited.
Yeah, and you're a big gym guy, big basketball guy, right? High
I am.
school, yeah. And you still bring some of that with you, right? The keeping yourself physically fit, like and that's a big part of your acting too, right? I mean,
Yeah.
appearance is huge too.
No, definitely. I think it's something that really has helped me with certain roles. I mean, it's definitely not, it doesn't matter for every role, but as far as like a role for, Wolfpack or something like this, where they want you to be like physically, in shape and like strong looking, I worked my butt off for that.
Tyler, what would you do if you had like a Christian Bale moment? Because he's always adding weight, losing weight, adding weight, lose. I mean, like I feel like, I mean, you're playing with a loaded gun there. I think at times because to gain 200 and then to look like you haven't eaten in forever, like that's a huge weight gain. Could you do that?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because I've sort of struggled with, weight in the past,
Yeah.
and like honestly like unhealthy eating patterns at times to try and like stay in shape or do whatever I'm trying to achieve. But it is something that I've been more comfortable getting around lately, like because the passion for acting is sort of overridden like my self-image. So if I had to gain weight for a role, I would have no problem doing that. I love food. And also if I had to get really skinny for a role, now I know how to do it in a healthy manner. So yeah, honestly, I'd be really down for it.
What's your big cheat food, Tyler, that you have to kind of monitor yourself, or you'd blow up?
I am a fiend for the sweets.
Yeah.
Any type of sour candy, like I could literally just put down like a bag of it and be like, well, I'm not getting that back. Better hop on the treadmill because
yeah. Man, I'm gonna tell you because I mean I run. It doesn't look like it, but I run 3.5 miles a day. I'm really active.
Oh
And
yeah.
people always act like weight gain is like a mystery. It's not. Like you take in more calories than you burn, you're gonna get bigger. Like it's kind of obvious. But like you have your sweets on the weekend. I have my beer, and I like I can give it up. I can drop 50 pounds, but that's a choice everyone has to make.
No, you're right. It's sacrifice. Like it's definitely like I just love food. I have a really big appetite. I'm always down to like try new foods.
Yeah.
Or like when I have a food in front of me that's really good, I just want like an unlimited amount of it. So gaining weight for me would be no problem.
Yeah.
But like whenever I have to like really cut, it takes a lot of like mental preparation and like determination.
Yeah, I think Bill was talking about for one of his roles because he's done it a few times. He was down to like a can of tuna fish and an apple a day. I'm like, and Joaquin Phoenix too. I'm like, this is insane. Like, I don't know how they do it.
I don't know if I could ever go that crazy with it.
Yeah. That's dangerous because that's dangerous. Before we go on, please tell me you have not become a Lakers fan. Please tell me you are still holding true to the green. And
are you kidding me? I literally was crying this morning seeing Tom Brady's retirement message on Instagram.
Yeah, very sad. Tyler? Do you ever feel like worked out if you had stayed the entire career? I felt like I was watching. This is gonna sound so cheesy, but I felt like I was watching an ex go off with somebody else. I felt like because Brady, like he established everything here, 6 Super Bowls, everything. Don't you feel like we kind of? I mean, I'm complaining, but like 6 Super Bowls, I really have no right to complain. But
No, I get it though. Like you're right. Like he literally was like the face of New England and like Massachusetts, and everyone I knew was just like a diehard Tom Brady's fan. Honestly, like when he went off to the Buccaneers, I started rooting for the Buccaneers. I realized I'm a Tom Brady fan.
Mm,
He
mm.
did everything for the Patriots. So
Yeah, yeah. Tyler, is Lawrence your middle name?
yeah.
So when the wonderful opportunity came about to interview you, because we're gonna get into the show in a second. Wolfpack is great. I loved it. I love it. I wish I saw the first two. I only saw one because it drops on Thursdays, as you know. But I have to
Hey,
say, when I read your name fast, I read Tyler Lawrence, and I'm like, he kind of looks like this guy. I'm gonna put somebody on the screen for you. People that know who this person are gonna laugh. You might not know who he is. I'm older, so I'll get it. Do you remember Joey Lawrence? He used to. Do you remember him?
whoa, no, but like
You guys kind of look alike.
wow.
Yes, it's kind of close. Like you
No, that's
are.
crazy. The
Yeah,
fact
and he
that his
was.
last name is Lawrence, like
Yes, yes, and he comes from an acting family. Like when I was younger, he was a bigger actor, and it was like I was like these guys are related. These guys are related, but
it's like
not.
reincarnation right there.
Let me ask you this: you had a huge TikTok following before you got involved in acting. Did that help you in any way?
Um, as
Because
far as
you had a massive following before you became an actor.
I did have a pretty decent following. I remember uh as I was sort of getting into acting, I realized it's like what people were telling me like you should start doing TikTok, and I was like, well, I don't really know what I want to do on TikTok. And then I started making like skits, like little relatable skits, and I ended up gaining like probably like 150K, and that was really cool.
Right.
Because I was sort of incorporating both, but the problem that I ran into is I started stressing if I couldn't come up with ideas, and it wasn't fun anymore. I started getting like mad if like a
Yeah.
video wouldn't do well, something like that. So I'll admit, then I started doing like some more like thirst trappy TikToks of either like, like my gym gains or like me just like lip syncing stuff. And I made like a whole other account that also gained like probably like 180K.
Wow.
But then I just sort of drifted away from it completely because I realized like it was giving off this image of me that may have been like a little self-centered just because like those were the only videos I was sort of making. So now I'm trying to bring my real personality online and sort of like just be someone who is relatable because I don't want to be seen as like this. Everyone's like,
Right.
what is he actually like in real life? I've only ever seen him like doing stuff on TikTok.
Yeah, and you bring up a great point. It gets to a point on TikTok or even any social media where people are trying to outdo one another, right? So somebody's
Yeah.
trying to outdo, and it just becomes not fun anymore. But because of the podcast, I got into it, and it's kind of addictive. Like you watch these shows, like I got hooked on watching a guy sell these Rolexes. He sells them, they negotiate.
Oh my God, I saw one of those the other day.
Yeah, it's like it's nonstop, and I'm like, listen, you're watching this too much. Like I didn't know how addictive it was. I mean,
It is.
a lot of people like it, and I could see the appeal to that. Graduated in 2020, Tyler. Is there a lot coming at you at once between then and today? Do you feel like I feel like looking on the outside, looking in, you've gone through a lot in this time. Do you feel like you've gone through a lot in this time since your high school graduation?
Um, yes, in the sense of like, I realized I needed to step up just myself. I went through a lot of like self-deprecation and sort of like being too hard on myself where I almost
Mm,
started like hating myself. And I started like losing like just my sense of everything. I started like really, depersonalizing a lot and not really like understanding who I was anymore. And I don't know what really caused that, but I think it definitely did have something to do like, with COVID and like graduating and kind of figuring out what I wanted the next step of my life to be. Even though acting was, going pretty good, I was getting callbacks and stuff. I wasn't like just appreciating what I had in front of me. So it wasn't really like any adversity that I had to face because I know like the only reason I'm saying that is because I know there's people out there that have really gone through like some really tough times. And I don't want to take that away from them by saying, oh, I went through tough times. It was more of like a personal inner thing for me. I definitely lost myself for a while, and that is tough. I'm sure a lot of people deal with that. And luckily after the show and even before the show, I started figuring out who I was again, like, what I wanted to do, why I was here, why I wanted to be an actor. And like now it's all coming together, especially after the show. I realized like I just want to like, tell stories and like relay messages and like help other people, maybe people who, were going through the same thing as me, who feel helpless.
No, man, that's well said. And you can't compare what you're going through to other people. I mean, that's your battle. Your battle is your battle, man, and you have
Yeah.
to face it every day. So there's nothing. Don't ever diminish that. That's a really honest thing to say. Your sister in the show is played by Chloe, who's a wonderful actor. Any experience? And I hope I'm saying your real life sister. Is it Emerson? Your real life sister?
Yeah.
Anything in your personal life? Just it seems like you guys get along really well, your interactions with each other. You take anything from that to the show, anything from having a sister to, it's very similar. I mean, similar in ages, I feel like. I mean, anything you could take from your real life world and kind of bring it over to the storytelling world?
That's funny that you say that, because I actually, that's exactly what I was sort of creating this image of Chloe in my head when I first met her. Like, obviously off the bat, just like a beam of light, like one of the most genuine people I've ever met, like so supportive, so just like energetic and like kind. Like she was always trying to like hype me up, make me feel my best. And it ended up us doing the same to each other. But the funny thing about us really trying to create that sibling dynamic is I knew from my past with my real sister Emerson, as much as we love each other to death, the arguing and the bickering and getting under each other's skin is there. So I realized like I sort of started developing that relationship with Chloe without even like, it wasn't even intentional. We were just sort of like, we'd go back and forth and just like make fun of each other. It was always in like a harmless way.
Sure.
But it definitely, I could feel it creating that chemistry on set, because like in between takes we would just be like whispering to each other, like insulting each other, and we knew it was jokes, but like I don't know, it just made us feel more comfortable when we were doing scenes together.
No, that's awesome. Two quick things before we go into Wolfpack. One of which is one of your favorite movies I read was, and I was so happy to read this because a lot of younger actors will say a movie that they just saw at the theater, or they'll say something that just everyone else says just to be cool. You dropped a movie on me that I was like, oh, this kid, I love him. Good Will Hunting is one of your all-time favorites, right?
Of course.
That is one of the most rewatchable movies of all time. And I know why you appreciate. You're a Boston guy. I'll call you a Boston guy. But like for so many reasons, I know why I love it, but that doesn't matter. Why do you love it, Tyler?
I mean, honestly, one of the big reasons, as you said, like I'm a Boston guy. The fact that Matt Damon and he actually like helped write that as well is just like fascinating. It kind of inspires me, who's just like an actor trying to step into the industry, like also sort of get into writing. Like the fact that they just made that it's really inspiring also, because like they were some of the first actors to really peak out of Boston, and the fact that they just like sort of like drove this pathway and like made huge careers for themselves. I love it. Also, the movie is just so like cinematically beautiful and like, oh my God, I've seen that movie a few times and I could just go on and on about it. Like, it really is just.
I can't talk about that movie and then mention Robin Williams in the same sentence. I'll start getting emotional. That's how great. I mean, he won an Academy Award for that. Deserved it.
Yeah. I definitely can't even shy away from Robin Williams as well. He's one of my favorite actors of all time. And like, he's so compelling. You're right. Like, it literally makes me want to cry. Like every time I just think about him in those films, like he has something that every actor, like, feels inspired and like wants. Like he just has this compellingness that like touches you on a deeper like emotional level.
Yeah, well said. And when he passed, everyone put like flowers around that bench that he and Matt were sitting on for a lot of the movie. So so let's get into this wonderful show. Great first episode. Great. I was telling you about how I run at night, right? Like, and I have this like, I just got back off the trails and I have like a night light.
Yeah.
And when I run in the trails, there are times where I see animals and I can see like the lights in their eyes. It's scary as hell. It's the same thing with Wolfpack, right, man? Because this creature Like it gives me like, I was like, this is a little bit too close to home. Tyler, describe the show to somebody who may not be familiar with it. It's based off a book by a Canadian author, but explain the show to somebody who hasn't, because Paramount Plus is on a freaking roll here. There's two shows in particular. There's the Jeremy Renner show, Mayor of Kingstown, Tulsa
Yep.
King, 1883, Wolfpack. I mean, Paramount Plus really kicking it up here with these shows. Tyler, how do you describe this show?
This show is, coming from the supernatural aspect. I've seen so many supernatural shows, and I think one of the most important things is the origin point, like where they start off in the show. So I think it's really cool how this show starts off with two kids who think they're just living in a normal world, right? And then sort of a catastrophic, but not super catastrophic, but a very like dangerous event happens, like where the fire sort of takes over, and then this creature sort of comes out from that fire, and all of a sudden, like, this world is everything but they thought it was. And from this they meet two other people who they also find out were hiding this secret their entire life. So I think the show is very cool in the sense of it's mysterious, and it also is very real. Like, even my character and Chloe's character, who have this secret that they've been hiding, have been living like the most normal lives possible. And I just think that's really cool, because it kind of, in the bigger sense, is a metaphor for like anything can happen to you that you wouldn't expect in the blink of an eye. And stuff sort of changes these kids' lives forever. Even me and Chloe's character, who already knew about this, it still changes because now they meet other people that they have to share this connection with. And it's a scary thing. It's kind of like letting strangers into your life. So I think the whole show's metaphor is kind of like, allowing people to come into your life for the right reasons. As much as, people lack trust, or, they fear someone's going to do them wrong, I think that it's great by showing that not everyone has bad intentions, and you can relate to a lot of people without even realizing it. And a lot of people are actually in the same shoes as you, that you would judge right off the bat just based off of their appearance or their personality.
Right. No, that's a great explanation. And you know what else, Tyler, I would add to that I wasn't really ready for is that, I hope I read this right, is that each of the four characters that we see after episode 1 are kind of like superheroes. They all have their main kind of like, one is better with sense of smell, one can hear, one can run fast, one has these other. So it's almost a superhero kind of movie in that regard, right?
Yeah, no, I have said in so many interviews, it feels like being a superhero, especially because we all have different like powers in a sense, or different like qualities that are heightened. And I think that's really cool because, it's kind of interesting, like, why does everyone have different, abilities that they can use to their advantage, and why can't the other characters use them like that? But it is like sort of like the Avengers, like coming together and using all their powers to, fight whatever evil they need to.
Yeah, and I've heard you say in other interviews where obviously Sarah Michelle Gellar is a phenomenal actor. I'm sure you learn a lot from her and veteran actors. Definitely. But I got to believe, though, Tyler, that it sounds like you have a great rapport with the rest of the cast as well, and you guys really learn a lot from each other.
Yeah, we're still best friends to this day. I'm actually going to work out with Armani after this interview.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, we all really like clicked, and I was really happy about that because, like, I'm someone who has always been trying to find like my friends in my life, and I can vouch for people that I met in LA as soon as I moved out here who are still my friends to this day. But I think it gets a little different when you step into the entertainment industry and now you're working with people, because you're not sure if you can like balance the work and the friendship aspect outside of it. But I think we're all in the same boat. We're like, hey, we don't really know each other, but let's just take a chance to get to know each other. And if you're as good of a person as I think I am, I think we'll all get along. And that's exactly what happened. And I couldn't be more thankful for every single one of them.
No, that's awesome. Man, I have two more questions for you. Thank you for all this time. I really
Oh, dude, of
appreciate it. Yeah,
course.
a lot of fun talking to you. So how do you do lines, Tyler? How does that work for you? What's your process? In other words, is it by episode? How's the time work? I've had almost 400 guests on, and I've really never asked this question. Like, how do you process lines? What's your like method? Like, so when they give you is it by series? Is it by episode? How does that work? Your lines, and how do you process that? Do you do it while working out? Do you have to be alone and quiet? How does that all work, Tyler?
Um, I've tried honestly a lot of different methods learning lines.
Right.
I think the most effective one for me so far has been, read the script of whatever episode that we're doing. And then, when the prelim comes out for the week and we see what days we're shooting, what scenes, like the night before, just read through them, make sure I'm off book and put it down. Because I realized when I overread those lines, it sort of comes out so robotic that it feels like I'm acting and that I'm not just like doing. So I realized if I just know the lines well enough to where I know when my lines come in, I know when their lines come in, I can literally just act like, a different person, like I'm embodying a different character because essentially that's what I'm doing. But it's definitely something that I had to work on because it was probably my biggest challenge when I started acting was getting the lines down and being off book.
Tyler, I know what it means, but explain off book.
Like basically knowing all of your lines without, calling out like line, sorry, I
Yeah.
forgot, or basically
Yeah.
not forgetting any of your
Yeah,
lines.
yeah. That's really well said. What can we expect this season, Tyler? The rest of the way.
There's gonna be a lot of, plot twists and sort of things that people aren't really gonna expect. I know a lot of people are gonna think that this takes like the Teen Wolf route completely,
Mm-hmm.
and follows like the same rules. But talking to Jeff and shooting the first season, he's bringing a completely different ideology to this world, and it's really cool because there's going to be a lot of different aspects about each character that people are not going to expect at all. But I think people are going to appreciate it too,
Yeah.
because we've after seeing already episodes 1 and 2, it's really cool how everything's turning out, and everything is sort of being explained pretty well. Like we read the scripts, so we know like every single detail
Right.
of something. But sometimes it's hard to show that when you're filming it and when it's like on a camera instead of on a page. But people are going to be able to follow along with the story, and by the end of the season, I think people are going to start to obsess with it.
Yeah, you mentioned in I think it was an interview. You said that you had initially, maybe it was this show. I don't remember what it was, but you said that you had trouble getting emotional on camera, crying on camera. You had a little bit of it at first, not obviously not anymore. But my question to you is about that. But also, were you nervous about like say like an on-screen kiss? Is that even more like because you have to remember lines, you have to be into it, you have to like. There's so much going on, Tyler. How do you suppress the nerves?
I kind of just no, I was definitely really anxious at first, with everything.
Right.
It's showcasing those emotions, the intimate scenes, the action scenes, everything. But I realized if I just don't let the nerves override my goal and I really just accept that like I'm an actor and I'm here for a reason. I did a lot of, research on, just very specific things that I would have to do, like whether it was like watching certain films where I remember an actor, did that exact thing that I had to portray, or if it was just like reading things online. And obviously, just building that confidence. The more I got comfortable on set, the more everything became like a walk in the park. After I did things for like the first time, I was like, oh, that wasn't, that wasn't worth like losing sleep or anything. Like that was no problem at all.
Right. And lastly, I'll say that, I was listening to an interview with Bryan Cranston, who was talking to Bill Maher. They were talking about the Kevin Hart movie, The Upside. Bryan Cranston caught a
I
lot of
love
grief.
that movie.
Yeah, wonderful movie. He caught a lot of grief because he's not a disabled man playing a disabled man. And there's lots of these going, people that are, and I get it. I get both sides of that story, but I'm a big proponent of giving everybody opportunity and cast the best actor possible. And you did an interview with a man who asked you, and it's a great question. He said, what's it like being a straight actor playing a gay actor, playing a gay character? And I thought that was just such a great question the way he asked it. but also the way you answered it. And I think it's just I don't know, whatever you wanted to say on that. I thought it was just your answer to that question was really, really well thought out.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. And, I stand by what I said. I'm an actor and I'm just here to tell stories of other people's point of views. It's not me going through these experiences.
That's right.
It's
That's right.
the people
Yep.
on screen who are telling their story for a specific reason. And I'm just here essentially to help that. Just like the director and the writer and the cinematographers are all working together with the actor to tell this story. So it's kind of like a group effort in a sense. And I think every character and every story that I can tell is beautiful in its own way because they all have different messages. And I think like the ideas and the visions behind the writers is just like something incredible.
Yeah, man, you got a very old school, like James Dean look to you, man. And it's going to serve you well as you get older. Believe me, I have more of a Chris Farley look to me, but that's why I'm not the actor and you are. What's around the corner for you, Tyler? What could you say?
I want to do something that's a little out of my comfort zone. Not comfort zone in the sense of like what I'm okay with doing because, as an actor, I have to be ready to basically do anything.
Sure.
But something that I'm not really used to, I don't want to be typecast as like, per se, like a jock or an athlete or, anything like that. I want to be able to play any role, just like when we were talking about earlier with, Christian Bale gaining a ton of weight or losing a ton of weight.
Right.
I want to be able to just forget about like my self-image and just like embody different characters. I think people really have a sense of respect for actors who can do that. I have a huge sense of respect for actors that can do that. And I feel like it would also help me get over this, internal struggle with like self-image and always trying to like live up to the specific image that I want. And instead just like let go and allow like life to take its course and just sort of like experience different stages of it.
Isn't it great, Tyler? Isn't your advice to what you just said? It's so perfect. But isn't it for like, you could apply that to working out, to anything. Get out of that comfort zone because it's like, that's where you find your biggest gains, right, Tyler? Actor, whatever, right?
Yeah, that's where you discover things about yourself that you didn't think you were capable. I mean, I didn't start acting till like 3.5 years ago, and I would have never thought that I was capable of that before I tried it. And then I tried it and I was like, oh my God, this is like something I never thought that I would ever be able to do. And, now I'm here. So like, what does that say for other people who are scared to, take smaller steps? Like sometimes it's okay. Most of the time it's okay to take that risk.
Yeah, man, you are beyond your years. And I thank you so much for this, Tyler. I hope you come back on down the road.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it. I definitely
You're
will.
a good dude. Thank you.